All right, so after some stream issues, we are live here from the University of Maine in Orono. It is Game 5 of the NCAA Regionals here, hosted by Husson University. This one already off to a 2-0 start after the Eagles plated 2 in the top half of the first inning. Here we are in the bottom half of the second. I'll give you a quick little recap of this box score so far. Once again, having those stream issues, we apologize for that. The Wi-Fi simply would not let us stream.
It was a big challenge moving from Husson, having to reconnect all our stuff up here in the UMaine press box. I think we thought we were fine, and then we went to go live, and
then we were not fine.
The Wi-Fi was not working.
We were not fine. That's why you double check, everybody. That's why you double check. All right, so recap. Raymond and Cornell back-to-back ground outs to start the first. Dorr a single. McCabe and Exel followed with doubles to plate McCabe and Dorr respectively. Then Gregoire popped out to end the inning to the side of the Rams. Ground down a single by Rooney, and then a fly out and strikeout. Cadena here started off the bottom half of the second with a ground out. You just saw that. On the Eagles side of things, it was a single for McLeod. Reed moved her over with a sacrifice bunt. Lydia Rice a ground out. Then back to the top of the order, Raymond a soft liner to second. So that should catch you up. Once again, a 2-0 Husson lead here in Orono after the rain pushes us here with a 2-hour delay. Walk taken right there by Kerrigan. So here in this contest, Framingham State, the home team, playing for a spot in tomorrow's final against Williams. Husson trying to do the same thing.
Yeah, and we saw Framingham win at this first contest between the two of them earlier on yesterday. Upset that Eagles winning streak that they had on the year. Obviously, the Eagles, the #1 seed, favored going into this tournament. Now, both of them are going to have a tough road to get to that next round of this tournament. Going to have to beat Williams College twice tomorrow if they were to win this overall tournament as a whole.
So going left to right, we'll go over the defense quickly for the Eagles. Lindsay Reed is in left field. The only change in the outfield, Raymond and McLeod in center and left respectively. In the infield, it's Kenzie Dorr at third. Then Lydia Rice gets the start back again at short. Second time we've seen her this tournament. Josie Cornell at second. Tori Exel at first. Bula McCabe, the battery mate for Danny Masterson on the mound, who's just given up that one hit and one strikeout so far, facing Talia Duca, the batter for the Rams. As we'll get into the swing of things a little bit late. Runner off first, and Carignan reached on a walk.
Yeah, for those out of state, we had to basically, and for those not watching that initial broadcast, I think kind of just to recap that real quick, Ethan. The last pitch of the game between Husson and RPI happened. The Eagles won that one on a walk-off play at home. Literally about 30 seconds later, it started downpouring in Bangor. Husson, obviously the dirt field, that got soaked, flooded out there. All of a sudden, we have kind of no field to play on. The University of Maine is probably about 15, 20 minutes up the road, kind of associated with Husson, not really at the same time. And we basically had to move all our gear up here. It was kind of ready for us, and then set everything up.
Strikeout there of Duca for Masterson, our second. Now the batter, the designated player in Haley Jensen. Picked up a Rookie of the Week nod in the Mazcac. But yeah, just about probably 30 seconds after we ended that broadcast, it was downpouring, and field would have been a lake still. Ripped and caught. Kenzie Dorr at third base. Flashes the leather to get that one. As one hit for the Rams ends the second inning. We head to the top half of the third inning. It'll be the Eagles coming up to bat. So it's Josie Cornell here out of the 2 spot. Will lead it off in this 3rd inning for the Eagles. Similar lineup, the only switch, Dorr goes from 4th to 3rd, and McCabe swapping that spot. There's a little dribbler, shovel pass in time to get Cornell. So Dorr just made that play at 3rd, stands in, trying to break a tie with Cassie Berry at the top of the home run leaderboard in a career for an Eagles player. Sends this one out towards right. This one will stay in the yard, hangs up there for a while as Cadena settles underneath it to make the catch for out number 1, or number 2 rather.
And we missed it, but Dorr started off that little bit of a rally there in the 1st inning for the Eagles, had the big double, or the single that is, and then managed to score off the back-to-back doubles from McCabe and Axel.
This one foul. McCabe just about gave Coach Roberts a haircut down there at 3rd.
And Ethan, I think it's also only right here to give a little shout out to connect to this internet up here. We had to log in using kind of the UMaine student ID and password. I called up my good friend Colby Lloyd, known him for years now. So thank you, Colby, for getting us up here on the live stream. It wouldn't be happening without you, man.
Yeah, I mean, that's why you got to keep friends around. You never really know when you're going to need them. So thanks again, Colby, for getting us online. I'm sure all of our viewers appreciate that as well. We're going to step aside. Bottom half of the 3rd coming up. So back here in Orono, Victoria Connolly will lead it off for the Rams. Scoring around early. The right fielder pulls it back. Takes ball 1. So in case you're wondering, the difference in dimensions between these 2 fields, O'Keefe Field is 200 down each line. Same here at the UMaine softball complex, but to center field, O'Keefe is just 210, and here it is 220. So these are the exact NCAA standards for softball in a freshly or newly constructed softball complex. This is just its 1st year in operation and looks beautiful.
Yeah, you can see they really pushed it kind of out in that right center. I think about just the edge of the space they had here.
2-2 the count to Connolly. Foul tip, and McCabe couldn't squeeze it.
Now that Black Bear logo out in center field there is shining out there for the UMaine Black Bears. Really, UMaine's been kind of upping their game with the athletics program. It's been kind of a part of an ongoing thing. Really, just from here, you can see multiple different fields that I think are fairly new here for the Black Bears. Over to our left, the big dome that got installed in the last year as well.
Connolly draws a walk. The 2nd of the day for Masterson. That's how we start the bottom half of the 3rd. But yeah, the new field hockey field just across the way. Also looking great. The baseball diamond, Mahaney Diamond off to our left. / straightaway. Also the Haraloffon Sports Stadium. They play football over there as well. As this one is popped up. Exel right at the bag at first. Able to make the play. So Rooney, who singled back in the first, that one was a hot shot right up the middle. We'll stand back in with one out, runner at first. This one sent out towards left field. Reed a few steps back, makes the catch for the second out.
Yeah, and I do think, Ethan, one thing to touch on, I think that rain delay definitely played in the Eagles' favor a little bit. Obviously, had no control over the weather, but fortunate for them, having just played that game against RPI, instead of starting at 4, they wound up starting at 6 o'clock, so really had an extra couple hours of rest, whereas Framingham here hasn't played since about 1 o'clock this morning, or this earlier today, so getting a little bit cold, and the Eagles right now getting out to the early start.
That one just low, so the count even at 1-1. But we're looking at about a 45-minute turnaround between those two games, so it's going to be just a little bit longer than the turnaround during the North Atlantic Conference tournament. Masterson able to stab that comebacker. We'll keep it here and talk it through it, but that North Atlantic Conference tournament was about a half-hour turnaround between games. There were only a couple of teams that went back-to-back playing those consecutive games. The same as a doubleheader, really, but you got to think there's more games coming up, at least for one of these teams tomorrow. There's one, maybe two. So that factor of 45 minutes of rest between the games, now looking at about 2 hours, 45 minutes of rest, where Framingham State was already warming up and in the process of getting into the game. So to your point, definitely favors the Eagles, but there's no control over the weather.
Yeah, and like you mentioned about the pitching, this is going to be an important game for both these teams. Whichever one comes out on top to win, I think I mentioned it right at the start of this, is going to have to beat Williams College twice tomorrow to take it home. That being said, if the Eagles theoretically hold on to this lead, you're going to have to think that they're probably going to pitch Anna Lang in that first game to try to get through it. Masterson pitching in this one. You could pitch Masterson in that first game, or you could save her for a second game. So what do you do here if you're the Eagles, Ethan, that if Masterson's performing well going into the 6th or 7th, do you pull her and bring in someone else if you have enough of a lead, try to save those two arms? Or do you just kind of ride this one? You need to win this game.
I think it really just depends on how quickly my bats can get out there, to your point of how big is that lead come 5th, 6th, 7th inning. And for the Eagles, the game's not won. You got to get out to that lead too. And with Framingham, we know that they can get it going. They can score runs in bunches. A good offensive team, averaging about 5-6 runs a game, and able to slug the ball around. 80 doubles, 27 home runs for this Framingham State team. So they can score quickly with those power numbers. So going to be a little bit of a chess match as we get into the later innings and see what that move is. Allie Moran is in the circle for the Rams. This one a little dribbler.
The Rams have that 1-2 punch of Moran and Hughes out there out in the pitching circle, so it's going to be the same sort of thing for them as with Lang and Masterson of, do you keep those starters in there, or do you try to bank on winning this contest and saving them for tomorrow?
I think realistically you've just got to try to keep it with Moran, the two-time MASCAC Pitcher of the Week this year. Also the winningest pitcher in Framingham State history. A little single off to right field for Gregoire in front of Cadena. Thought that Cadena might make a throw over to first with McWill covering, but no throw.
The Gregoire looked like really almost trying to fight that one off rather than try to get a hit down, but managed to land out there and get it going.
So Cameron King will come in to run for her. Kiara McLeod, the batter. will be interesting. We'll probably have to touch on this again in about the 5th inning and try to just determine what the best path is for each team going forward and looking towards tomorrow.
Well, we mentioned it in that RPI game as well. If one of these two teams could get the offense really going out there and try to get those batters, try to get up to that mercy rule level, which right now it doesn't look like it. So it's two of the top aces here for both these teams. That would allow you to just play the 5 innings. You might not have to go to that bullpen.
Offense got to get rolling from both teams, though. The Rams just the 1 hit. The Eagles the 2 runs, but have been held scoreless and only 1 or 2 hits since then. As Moran, this one popped up. Charging is Rude, able to make the catch on the run just outside of the circle. That stolen base for Cameron King is 25th of the season, still without getting caught.
Yeah, the Eagles have a couple like that. Raymond as well. Excellent, excellent on the base pass. Obviously, King still the freshman, putting up 25 in her first year. I think definitely she plays 4 seasons here with the Eagles, could put herself up in those record books.
The batter is Lindsay Reed, getting the start in left field in this lineup. We've seen her a bunch this tournament running as that one's just foul. 9 of 9 of stolen bases for Reed, and we've seen her used a lot in that situation where Gregoire reaches and then Reed comes in, but starting lineup for this one, freshman getting a chance to deliver in the NCAA tournament.
That's a big pressure moment, I think, for freshmen at this level. Obviously, a lot of these players probably had some pretty good careers in their high school years as well. If you're playing college sports, you were probably pretty good in high school, but it can be difficult coming up to now. This is a national tournament. Obviously, it's Division III, but it's the top level of Division III that you can reach as a softball player, really. And I think that can be difficult for some freshmen out there.
So Reed, a little dribbler, grounds out to end the inning. Score of 2-0. We head to the bottom of the 4th on the Husson Eagles Sports Network. Welcome back to Orono's. Ethan Moss alongside Avery Henningsen. Shelby Rude will be digging in to face Masterson here in the bottom half of the 4th. Rude struck out her last time up. Right back up the middle. That'll get through and into center field for a base hit. So Rude reaches on the leadoff single to turn it over to Marina Cadena. Again, we know the Rams can string it together, score in bunches. Already an Eagle warming. Off in the bullpen to our right is Sierra Yates. Have not seen much of the freshman this year, but of course that's due to a lot of pitching talent on this roster, and there hasn't really been much need to exercise that depth.
Yeah, Yates pitching about just under 16 innings on the season. I think she started a couple games at the start of the year during that Florida trip where the Eagles played like 8 games in 8 days kind of thing. But definitely has some talent out of the bullpen. I think's pitched some out of the bullpen recently as well. In that Presque Isle game back a little bit towards the end of the year.
fouled, and that one was fair. I thought it was off the plate. So Exel places the tag on Cadena, and Cadena is out. Rude moves over to second.
That one sure sounded like it hit off the plate. Or it's kind of a different noise there than what you might be used to.
I think it just might be the turf field and it just hit it hard. First time calling a softball game on a turf field.
And it'll be interesting. I'm sure the Eagles played some games on turf fields over this year, but definitely in the last couple weeks, or really the last month of their season, they probably got pretty used to playing out there on the dirt field. Obviously, O'Keefe, an excellent facility when we don't get 15 inches of torrential or 15 minutes of torrential downpour out there. But I know from just playing other sports on turf that it can be difficult to transition between the two. Not quite sure what it's like in softball, but I'm going to guess it's just the ball bounces a little bit differently, especially defensively. Batting, it should really be the same, other than maybe base running. But
some of these players are going to have to wear shoes because you can't wear the metal cleats, and some players only use the metal cleats. So there will be a difference between the spikes, the rubber spikes, which I'm not seeing much of on the players. I've seen a lot of tennis shoes just because of that change. So that is probably the biggest change for all of these players, is used to playing with spikes, playing on dirt, lots of grip, now playing on turf with shoes. Totally different ball game, no pun intended, in terms of how that feels.
I think I would say, though, that defense is probably going to be the biggest change playing on a turf field as opposed to a grass and or dirt field, where dribbler into the infield is probably going to slow down pretty quickly, but a dribbler on this really won't slow down any difference between the outfield and the infield. So just a hit up the middle can definitely, or even left to right side, can definitely skirt through pretty easily.
0-2 rises high. Masterson trying to punch out Duca for the second time. Gunner swinging back in the second. High and tight for ball two. Two balls, two strikes, two out. This one popped up, out towards left. Who's going to get it? Reed on the run. Basket-style catch for the freshman, getting the start out in left field. Good defensive play there to end the inning. It's 2-0. Eagles coming up in the fifth. Lydia Rice will lead it off here for the Eagles. Takes ball one outside.
And we saw her get set in that first game against RPI. I think struggled batting and defensively against them. So I think wise decision there for the Eagles. Getting the start in this one. The Eagles trying to keep this whole lineup fresh, really, and keep these pitchers on their toes a little bit.
Outside, now 2-1. that point, Rice started against Framingham State, then came out for that matchup against RPI. So it could be more also of a matchup thing where knowing the stronger pitching of RPI, they want the speed of King on the base pass rather than more of the power, the spray, the contact that you're getting out of Rice. So it could also just be matchup based. Swing and a miss from Rice there, way out in front of that pitch from Moran. So actually the first strikeout of the day for Moran comes in the 5th. We're about to get blinded by some sun and might come away from this cloud bank. Raymond almost wears it again. Got hit a couple of times in that game against RPI. Lays a bunt down right up towards the pitcher Moran. Covering at first was Rude. Right there to make the play. So now Josie Cornell. Cornell, who's had a couple of ground outs today. Trying to go back to what propelled her those first couple of games this tournament. I believe a total of 5 for 6 across that stretch. So swinging the bat well up until this point. This one chopped again towards third. So the inning is over as Cornell is retired. So we head now to the 5th, or the bottom half of the 5th here on the Husson Eagles Sports Network. That's just going to get me. Eagles being the away team. So Framingham State coming up in the bottom half of the 5th when we come back. So we said we'd talk about this in the 5th inning. We're forced to talk about it. Anna Lang takes the circle for the Eagles. So Masterson goes the first 4, and it might be Lang trying to go the next 3.
Yeah, that's one that we didn't really think about, I think, Ethan, when we were talking about it, of just you split the two pitchers, and they're both mostly, obviously, Lang will have pitched a game and a half today, but Masterson will have pitched a game and a half on the weekend, so both of them pitching a game and a half rather than having one of them at one game and the other one at 2.
It's a good way to divvy it up, keep them both just as fresh as the other for tomorrow. Of course, you got a tough pitching matchup to try to get through on the other side of things with Williams, Sadie Leonard, and Katie Blanche. We'd assume that Leonard would be the starter for game 1 after they threw the no-hitter against RPI.
I think we're definitely going to see, if it is the Eagles who make it through to that next round, we'll probably see a pretty big pitching duel tomorrow.
Should be very exciting. This regional really lucked out in terms of the pitching talent that was put here. I mean, there were 4 of them with an ERA under 1.5. No, excuse me, that's 5.
If not more.
If not more, it's at least 5 with a sub 1.5 ERA, which you put that in the context of national rankings. a 1.5 ERA puts you basically in the top 50. So essentially, in other words, 5 of the top 50, or a tenth of the top pitchers in Division III are here in the Bangor/Orono regional. A lot of talent on display. It's been a lot of fun to watch from the booth. I cannot lie. It's been the most fun I've had up in the booth my entire time here. High and away. Lang gets the first 2 outs quickly.
Yeah, it's been a lot of close games. I don't think we've had a. Have we had a mercy rule so far in this one? Potentially between RPI and Williams.
I don't believe we've had.
I don't think they had. I think they made it the full
6-1.
A near perfect game in that first one, but I don't think the offense quite got going enough.
One skips in there. Not too often we get to call a game the Eagles wearing the road black jerseys, which I just love. One of the sharpest uniforms Husson has as a school. This was one skied. And Exel in foul territory makes the grab to end the inning. A 1-2-3 inning for Lang right out of the bullpen. When we come back, it'll be the top half of the 6th inning on the Husson Eagles Sports Network. Top half of the 6th inning here on the Husson Eagles Sports Network. Ethan Moss alongside Avery Henningsen. And if you're just joining us, we missed the first couple of innings due to some issues with some technical difficulties. The Eagles plated 2 in the top half of the first, but since then, both pitchers have been dealing, or I should say all 3 pitchers, as Dorr sends this one to center field. Backing up near the track to make the catch is Carpenter. One away.
She didn't quite catch that one cleanly, Ethan. Had good contact on it, but was just, I think, a little bit too far up the bat.
So McCabe now just missed one right off of the logo in right field, right center field. Sends this one on the ground off the glove of Rude, but she recovers and makes the play for out number 2. Now Tori Exel will be the batter with 2 down. As Moran quickly got him up, got him down. Dorr and McCabe, not easy hitters to retire quickly like that. And after that first inning, has been carving up these Eagles batters the same as she did in the opening game of this tournament. Softly to short. And Rooney makes the play to end the inning. 1-2-3 go the Eagles here in the 6th, bottom half. Coming your way, Rams will have, McWill, Rude, and Cadena coming up. Welcome back. I got a little ahead of myself. It's Rooney, McGill, and Rude due up for the Rams. So Rooney, who's 1 for 2, singled back in that first inning, will face Lang for the first time.
And it's an important inning here for Framingham. Obviously, the home team in this one, they'll have at least one more at bat or time up to the plate after this inning. I think if they could get one here, make it a one-score or one-run game, that would be big for them.
Strike one, now 2-1 to Rooney. Got a piece of it. Now 2-2.
Interesting. The Eagles' dugout has been kind of strangely quiet today. I've noticed in both these games that usually even with the defense out there, they're pretty rowdy. But today, just a little bit quiet out there.
Business faces on, I suppose. Full count. Rooney sends this one to center field. That could split the gap, but Raymond cutting it off. So it'll hold Rooney to a single. She's 2 for 3 on the day. Had a good way to start off this bottom half of the 6th inning for the Rams. Now McGill will step in. McGill, big contributor to that home run total we mentioned earlier, 27 for this team as a whole. McGill responsible for 10 of them.
McGill 5'11". I think that makes it a lot easier. A little bit longer arms, can just kind of get the barrel of the bat on it and just send it out there.
Coach Romert's going to take a mound visit. Lang has been uncharacteristically missing early on in the count. Back-to-back times she's gone down 2-0 to the batter. So I think Coach Romert's trying to get out there, settle his starter down, or settle his pitcher down after Lang coming out of the bullpen for Masterson.
Roberts has been a pitching coach for a couple greats here with the Eagles in this last little run. Ben Jones, McKenna Smith, now Lang and Masterson. Definitely kind of one of the unsung heroes, I think, a little bit of this Eagles run. Obviously was the pitching coach for 4 or 5 years, now the head coach for the Eagles. And a little bit more recognition, but I think definitely helped them out there for a little bit.
I'm going to say that was a fair ball down the third base line. So it'll be a double play as Exel turns it, but they're going to have a conference.
We'll see if this one stands up, Ethan. From here, that looked foul.
I'm not too sure that it will, but the issue being there is that home plate umpire and first base umpire were right there. They do overturn it. Say both umpires are right in front of the play, signaled fair ball, so I'm not sure they would have been able to overturn that otherwise. I think it was just a matter of getting tangled up or something there. A little miscommunication. So still nobody out. Rooney off first, McGill the batter. Take strike 2. Two. Swing and a miss. Lang comes right back and fires it through for a strikeout. Picks up the first out of the inning.
Successful mound visit, I would say, right there.
Strike 1 to Rude.
Roberts went out there and talked to her. 5 straight strikes following that one. The Husson crowd getting into it a little bit, Ethan. We mentioned not usually quite as rowdy as they are in the regular season without the student body, but the parents starting up a little bit of chant down there.
Fought off and a soft one rolls foul.
That's fortunate there for the Eagles. I don't know if they would have been able to catch the runner over at first.
So bottom of the 6th. 2-run lead for the Eagles. And really trying to get things going as Rude at the dish. Backs out of the way of that one. Rude had that single, turned in a couple of great defensive plays as well in what ended up being a loss to Framingham State, or excuse me, to Williams. Backhanded by Rice. They go to second. It gets away from Cornell and into right, but McLeod digs it out. So Rice trying to turn 2. Gets it wide of Cornell, and reaching on the fielder's choice is Rude.
Yeah, and I mentioned it, I believe, in the game that Framingham State played earlier. Not an aggressive team out there on the base pass. I think that one, I don't think they were ready for that missed throw, obviously, but also even in that game against RPI earlier in the day, they really just weren't. They had situations where they could have moved up the base pass a little bit more, but really just being patient out there and taking the base that they had rather than trying to get more.
So Moran comes out to run for Rude. See if there are any other changes when the Rams come back out for the top half of the 7th. Or excuse me, for the bottom half of the 6th. Eagles the away team. Excuse me, this is the top half of the 6th. I didn't know the bottom. Just maybe don't listen to what I'm saying for a little bit before I get myself straightened out. So bottom of the 6th, Eagles be coming up in the top of the 7th. There we go. That is right. So now listen to me.
Yeah, and Lang here in the bottom half of the 6th, Ethan. A little bit of a sticky situation. 3 straight balls, I think, here to the batter.
Yeah. Take strike 1.
Good comeback pitch there from Lang. You do not want to load the bases here with only 1 away.
And Kerrigan standing on deck. That one upstairs and gets away from McCabe. So a walk to Cadena.
Here we go. Batting third baseman number 17, Eliza Kerrigan.
So bases loaded for Eliza Kerrigan. A chance to blow it open here after being held scoreless. Just the 2 hits. And with Lang in the circle. Tall task with 1 out. Eagles defense cheated in, even the middle infield playing just behind Lang.
Yeah, Kerrigan 10 doubles, 3 triples on the year. Has that extra base power out there.
This one popped up way out in front of it.
It's still going.
Almost towards the dome off to our left.
That was roped just about 100 yards foul.
Straighten that out, it might go over the fence. 1-2 from Lang. Fouled back. We'll do it again.
Here we go. Okay, work.
This is an important batter here for Lang. If she can get the strikeout here, it would allow her to reduce contact and get the final out. You can't allow one to get put in play here.
Swing and a miss. She gets the strikeout as Kerrigan goes down. That's Lang's 2nd strikeout of the day. So now Talia Duco with 2 outs will have a chance to come through for the Rams. First pitch of ball on the outside part, the inside part. This one, Rice will go to third to end the inning. Rams threatening here in the 6th as we head to the 7th. It'll be the Eagles coming up here on the Husson Eagles Sports Network. Back here in Orono, Allie Moran still out there in the circle for the Rams. So that substitution in for Rude. Part of the switch. Been doing some things pre-game in order to get that designated player kind of slot out there on the field where you can do that. Put them in for, or put somebody like Moran out there in the flex spot to run, and Rude still can field at second. So it might be Moran coming up to bat. Should that spot in the order come back around. So Gregoire, the batter, ropes this one into center field. A leadoff single for the senior. That makes her 2 for 3 on the day.
I'm guessing they're going to put King in for her out there.
Kiara McLeod will be the batter. It will be Jess Pomerleau to run for Gregoire.
Pomerleau usually a starter for this team, or at least a good chunk of the year, but a good, strong base runner out there. Pretty savvy older student here for the Eagles in the senior. Knows her way around the base pass.
8 for 8 on the year is Pomerleau. And this is an Eagles team that has only been caught 6 times with 90 stolen bases on record. There goes Pomerleau. The throw will be in time. Pomerleau gets cut down. Duca comes up firing, and a good tag from the shortstop in Rooney to swipe at Pomerleau. That's not an easy play to make when you're moving to your left and placing the tag kind of behind you. A good play to make that happen. One down. Erases the leadoff single. So McLeod will have the bases empty. McLeod 1 for 2. Singled back in the second, which we may have missed on the broadcast.
Dugout's starting to pick up a little bit here late in this one.
This one foul. Gets all the way into the corner. Cadena has to chase it down. We don't have a huge supply of softballs. Only the ones we came with. So 2 balls, 2 strikes to McLeod. Towards third. The throw in time from Kerrigan. And right at her at the hot corner.
Left fielder, Lindsay Reed.
So now Lindsay Reed is 0 for 2. 2 down here in the 7th. Softly to third. The throw across is in time. Kerrigan sets down 2 Eagles on her own. And Pomerleau gets cut down on the base pass. Eagles kind of go 1, 2, 3 here in the top half of the 7th. We head to the bottom. The Rams coming up with a chance. Down 2-0. Crunch time for the Rams, bottom of the 7th. Got to go through Lang in order to try to get this win. Team that has fought all year. Fought to get to this spot. Fought through the MASCAC tournament in order to claim that title. A couple of tough wins over Westfield State. after losing to them in their initial first-round matchup. And I checked down with first base umpire, did not go around, so count even at 1-1.
This is probably about the closest game that Lang's been in here for a little while now. Really kind of set them down in the last probably month of the season there for the Eagles. A lot of conference opponents that Husson really kind of just rolled through like they weren't there. So Lang, tricky situation.
Swing and a miss as Lang gets the first out of the 7th inning. Jensen strikes out. So Connolly will be the batter before we turn it over to the top and Gwen Carpenter. Swing and a miss. Well behind that pitch from Lang was Connolly. High pitch. Connolly able to lay off. Count even at 1-1. Swing and a miss right there. Now 1-2. Lang trying to get a little bit closer to tomorrow. Swing and a miss. Lang back-to-back strikeouts to start the 7th. And now down to their last out here in this tournament are the Rams.
Here comes that Husson crowd, Ethan. Cheering them on at dugout up there as well. Framingham down to their final out here in this one.
Long pause here.
And Carpenter up to bat, one of the better batters in this Framingham lineup as well. He has that ability to maybe try to spark something right at the end here.
Strike one. Again, Husson trying to go to tomorrow to face Williams. The Eafs have had a great run through this tournament. And great run through the NESCAC tournament as well as they try to stay hot. Peaking at the right time, winners of their last 7 now. The 0-2 popped up. McCabe there to make the catch. The Eagles will play tomorrow. A walk-off win sends them to Orono, and a beautiful performance in the circle from Masterson, and Lang sends them to tomorrow. It will be the pitching matchup that we have waited for this entire tournament. It will be the Eagles versus the Eafs tomorrow at 11. Eagles will have to win 2. Eafs just have to win 1. That Sadie Leonard and Anna Lang matchup, the Danielle Masterson and Katie Blanche matchup we could be seeing tomorrow. Could be some of the best pitching that we've had at O'Keefe Field in a long time. We're very excited for that one. I know it'll be myself and Avery on the call for that. Again, that's tomorrow at 11. Framingham State, an incredible season comes to a close here in Orono after a long ride for Coach Larry Miller and this team. They were able to get past Husson in that opening game that got them in the winner's bracket, and then a tough one against Williams put them here. And Eagles able to send them home. Their final record on the year, 25-20, after last year's record-setting 33-win season, and their 4th overall tournament win. So still a great season for the Rams, and I think nobody really pegged them as much of a player considering the talent of the rest of the squads coming into this tournament. But again, getting that upset over the Eagles on day 1 and a strong performance throughout the rest of this tournament.
Yeah, you can't kind of underestimate anybody who makes it to at least this level of the tournament. All these teams are good. Really, softball as a whole is one that if you can get hot at the plate, you can really beat anybody out there. It doesn't matter how good the pitching is. Sometimes you're just kind of seeing the balls coming in there, and it doesn't matter that the pitcher is one of the best in the country. Sometimes it's just a little bit too easy out there, but the Rams made a good run out there. a lot of young talent still, despite some of these older players who are going to be moving on. Probably some of the bigger losses being those 2 pitchers, both seniors for them. Carpenter as well, a senior.
Yeah.
Other McGill in that senior department. All those players, massive, massive contributors for this Framingham team, who we'll see how they look next year, despite those losses and despite a good, strong performance at this tournament already.
Yeah, and Coach Miller still has a good roster for next year, and not sure what the recruit situation looks like. I know that he's a fantastic coach and will be able to figure something out. You don't have 3 straight seasons in the MASCAC tournament, second place in 2021, and then 3 straight MASCAC titles between 2022, 2023, and this year. So you don't do that without being able to know how to construct a roster from the ground up. And once again, a final score, 2-0. Incredible run by Framingham State as Husson able to get the 2 wins they need today. 2 wins tomorrow would make them regional champions. They've got to get through Williams. A final score, 2-0. Once again, Ethan Moss, Avery Henningsen, want to thank you for tuning in today. Sorry for all the problems